So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. And man, I should have put on some like anti-itch cream for this video. This is the worst bug infestations. Have you seen something like this? I'm already itching when we started the video. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button and let's get to it.
As the old saying goes, there's no place like home. But while you may love your home for its warmth, comfort, and security, so can a whole host of creepy crawlies. Left unchecked, swarms of stink bugs, tons of termites, and even barrels of bees can move in, and worse, take over. Although the scale of some infestations are way more gross and scary than others. So take a deep breath and try not to barf, as we take a look at some of the worst bug-infested houses ever. Cockroach Calamity. On a May morning in 2017, serviceman Philip Todd answered a call to a house in Atlanta, Georgia. Philip didn't think he'd have to deal with—
Dang it, why I had to say Atlanta, fam? And see, this is what happens when you move into like apartments and you could be just as clean, but the adjacent apartment next to you and the bugs is spilling over from their place into yours. Yeah.
And Philip Todd answered a call to a house in Atlanta, Georgia. Philip didn't think he'd have to deal with anything more than a faulty boiler or a broken faucet. But when he arrived, he found himself face to antenna with a much more nauseating problem. The house was overrun with cockroaches. They were in the trash, on the walls, the ceiling, the floor. Nowhere was safe. And it was clear whoever lived there was happily living alongside this insane infestation.
You should, at that point, you should be able to call the police, somebody, man.
Now, you might be judging that homeowner for not cleaning their home and getting rid of the roaches, but cockroaches are hard to catch. They're fast, with American cockroaches able to move at speeds of up to 50 body lengths per second. That's the equivalent of a human running at speeds of up to 210 miles an hour. And roaches have no problem living in large numbers either. There's no way of telling how many Philip had to deal with, but in 2019, thousands of roaches were discovered in a single sewer manhole over in Australia. So at least he wasn't there. Able to use even the smallest openings, they can infest almost anywhere, as Anastasios Theoharis discovered. The construction worker was working on a house in Sydney, Australia, when he noticed the property's telephone was out of use. Spotting what looked like dirt beneath the casing, Anastasios pried it open and was met with one nasty surprise.
At least they dead. Let's hear that crunch. Y'all hear that crunch? That crunch messing with you. That crunch.
Well, I think we can safely say that phone has been bugged. Bed bugs bite. Considering New York City is the 12th most bed bug infested city in the whole of America, the terminators of Nyack's Global Pest Solutions must have thought they'd seen it all. But even these seasoned professionals admitted that one case from 2014 counted as unquestionably the worst thing they'd ever seen.
Now that we moved that, they're gonna have nowhere to go. So you see they're just going in a circle, they're not really running too far.
Blech. With bugs and blood splattered throughout the entire house, these terminators were stunned at the sheer scale of the untreated infestation.
And I'm allergic to those, bro. When I went to get my CDL license, I went and got my license in Arkansas, fam. And they had us stay at this facility. We wasn't in hotel rooms. They had us in like a group home setting. Like, it was crazy to me. I was like, why do I feel like I'm in jail and I did nothing wrong? And it was like 3 of us to a room. And these beds, fam, one bit me, bro. My whole face swole up. I reported them. They had to get me a hotel room. It was crazy, man. It was crazy.
The bedbugs hadn't just swarmed the mattress. They were also peppered all over the pillowcases, splattered up the walls, and even infested the bathroom. Ugh, I'm getting itchy just looking at this. Now, bedbugs usually feed by sucking our blood while we sleep. So where better for them to nest than our mattresses? And the longer the problem is left untreated, the more they reproduce. Makes you wonder how long this person hadn't cleaned their house for, considering the huge number of bugs gathered here. I'd be surprised if they had any blood left in their body. Well, even if you try and starve bedbugs to death, they can survive for almost 5 months before that happens. And all that time they'll be waiting, laying egg after egg after egg, growing in both number and hunger. Thank God that's not your house, right? Well, it could be. You see, it's estimated bedbugs are present in 19% of public transportation systems, 35% of hospitals, 45% of college dorms, 46% of offices, 47% of schools and daycare centers, and a whopping 59% of homes. So chances are, you're dealing with a bedbug infestation right now. While they may not grow to the monumental numbers they've achieved in this footage, 1 in 5 Americans will have to deal with a bedbug infestation at some stage in their lives. Time to burn absolutely everything I own, I guess. While I'm busy nuking my house, why don't you get busy hitting those like and subscribe buttons below? Go on, you knew you want to. All done? I knew you were my favorite for a reason. Alright, what horrors have we got next? The house of 100% no. If you suffer from arachnophobia, look away now. Okay, can't say I didn't warn you.
Mira, ya están cayendo todas. ¡Corre!
No way. No. Oh, no way. No way. No
Yep,
way.
that's not Clumps of Furry.
No, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Throw the whole house away. Torch it. Nuke it. Do something to it. No. Ain't no way, fam. No.
Mold growing on the ceiling of this outdoor hut. That's spiders. Apiliones to be precise, also known as harvestmen, harvesters, or daddied longlegs. And it looks like they've been up in the rafters of this hut breeding for quite some time. My God, there must have been thousands of the 8-legged freaks up there. But while the sheer amount of these harvestmen look terrifying, they're not the worst pests to have infest your home. Harvestmen don't really cause damage, discounting aesthetic damage, I guess. And while they may frighten your homeowner, they can't bite humans or produce venom. Most of the time, harvestmen will simply head straight for your basements, crawl spaces, and garages. The spiders prefer to live in damp, shaded areas like on trees or beneath rocks, preying on any smaller insects they come across. But if you're not an insect lover like me, you still don't want them creating a furry carpet on your ceiling. So much nope in one video. Ant attack. It was the holiday of a lifetime for biker Tim Zalman. When he made a road trip to South America, he loved everything about the trip. Well, almost everything. While he'd surely seen some crazy things out on the road, nothing was quite so extraordinary as the morning in Mexico he sat down for breakfast and saw this.
Oh, Like, what did somebody just like pour some liquid sugar down the side of that building or something? What?
It was thousands upon thousands of ants.
Huh? What?
Ants moving like a waterfall in reverse up the side of a house he was staying in.
Oh man.
As much as that makes me itch, it's also kind of mesmerizing compared to other infestations. So how come ants all know how to move in the same direction? Well, almost all ant colonies constantly communicate with each other when traveling. And no, that doesn't mean they're asking each other for directions. They do this using pheromones, chemical substances released by insects to influence the behavior of other members of their species. When traveling, ants secrete a chemical trail of pheromones for the other ants to follow, guiding the colony in a straight line along the quickest route possible. And if the quickest route possible is through your house, then there's nothing you can do to stop them. In America, there are more than 700 ant species, although only 25 of them will invade your home. You could invest in a few bottles of Raid to try and keep them at bay, but against a colony this size, it'd probably be easier to just move. Termite terror. Chris the Man Taylor has really earned his nickname. A Terminator for forensic pest management based in Sydney, Australia, Chris is the guy you call if you wind up with some unwanted roomies. He specializes in bird control and, in a true sign of the man scourge, termites.
That's why you must get your house checked at least once every 12 months.
That's Chris now showing us one of the largest termite nests he's ever had to remove. which was inside the wall of someone's house. But the more Chris peeled away, the more evident it became that this termite nest was so huge it had enveloped every single wall of the room. Termites build these giant nests, which are more like mud tubes, to reach food sources and protect themselves from open air. When out on the prowl, termites eat wood constantly. Like, constantly. 24/7. The critters use their sawtooth jaws to break off fragments of wood one teeny-weeny piece at a time, but it all adds up. Each year, it's estimated they cause more than $5 billion in property damage. Now, in an average year, you can expect a single termite queen to lay between 5,000 and 10,000 eggs. 60,000 termites is considered...
Like, that's her only job, then. If she does that much, bro, she can't do nothing else. She's busy. Check back later. Good God.
Between 5,000 and 10,000 eggs. 60,000 termites is considered a mature colony, with typical colony sizes ranging anywhere between 60,000 and 2 million. In those numbers, termites can cause extensive structural damage to buildings, just like this one. Thank God the man with a plan was there. Stink bug scourge. The day October 7th, 2021 would live long in the memory of an unsuspecting woman in Hanson, Kentucky. Like 84% of American houses, the woman's home was kitted out with an indoor air conditioner. While essential for the sweltering Kentucky summers, the air conditioners also offered an open door to a few unwelcome guests. When she peeled back the security tape, the woman was assaulted by a mass of hair-raising, foul-smelling stink bugs. Panicking, the woman began attacking the stink bugs with a vacuum cleaner. She hoped that would be the end of the gruesome invasion, but the stink bugs weren't going to leave her alone that easily. When she returned to her bedroom, she discovered the stink bugs had already started making her house their new home. Could you imagine waking up to see these creepy crawlies right next to your head? I'd be flailing around like her too. However, when you're face to face with a stink bug, you shouldn't get too aggressive. When threatened, stink bugs release a putrid, noxious chemical from a gland on their abdomen, which they spray everywhere. So they're creepy and stinky. Thanks for that, Mother Nature. Now, these bugs aren't just found in Kentucky, as Jeff from...
And then they right there by like the AC is blowing the air, so they just pooting in the air, just blowing back into...
Morgantown, West Virginia discovered.
I just got home to find these puppies all up in my grill.
When Jeff came home from work in 2012, he found his home overrun by stink bugs. It was completely covered in them, and he estimated there were at least a few thousand around the property. But how could so many have appeared so quickly? Well, stink bugs lay between roughly 30 to 100 eggs, meaning they can multiply at an extraordinarily fast rate. To make matters worse, stink bugs have very few natural predators in the US, so their numbers just keep growing and growing and growing. I don't want to freak you out, but if you're in the US, that could mean a stink bug infestation is coming your way very soon.
Alright, maybe we shouldn't have watched this video, man. What was y'all thinking? Somebody please tell me what was y'all thinking.
Ladybug lunacy.
Now, ladybug infestation I've seen before.
It was a November day like any other back in 2015 when Roger Stevenson noticed something different about his home in Stone County, Arkansas.
And for those of you that thought I were kidding about 18 billion of them,
now, I ain't never seen it this bad. Maybe what I saw was just a bunch of ladybugs then, because this is an infestation.
check this out.
By Roger's own count, millions of ladybugs had swarmed his house. Now, maybe I just don't go outside enough, but I don't think I've ever seen more than 2 ladybugs together, let alone a swarm. Well, in Arkansas, the presence of ladybugs means winter is coming. From the middle of October to early November, as temperatures cool, ladybugs can be found swarming on the sunny side of houses, trying to find somewhere warm and dry to spend the winter. The same stunt is done by ladybug's cousins, Asian lady beetles, which Reddit user Boilermaker105 found out when thousands swarmed his work in Ohio back in 2014. Not only do these beetles release a putrid defensive fluid that stains whatever it touches, it also smells vile, making them absolute stinkers to remove. Now, ladybugs were introduced to the United States by the Department of Agriculture as a biological control agent. So while they can be a nuisance, they are adept at consuming crop-eating bugs like aphids and mites. So in a way, we have a lot to thank ladybugs for, even if they do leave one heck of a mess. Nest nightmare. With 20 years experience in beekeeping under his belt, professional exterminator Jude Verrett must have thought he'd seen it all. But no amount of beekeeping could have prepared Jude for the sight he discovered in Louisiana back in 2017. Those ain't bees, those are wasps. And not just any wasps, yellow jackets. These notoriously aggressive predatory pests are famous for their defensive behaviors, as they swarm and sting repeatedly if they sense danger. They also tend to build their nests on the ground in naturally defended spots like burrows and crevices. But this swarm had discovered an old shed and decided to colonize the floor of the entire thing.
They got more nests here. Oh my God.
Luckily, Jude was more than up to the task of removing.
He saved somebody's life doing this job, bro. And talk about it. Remember the show Dirty Jobs? This is definitely a dirty job. But he saved lives. Because imagine somebody or some kid just opening that door being curious. Bad day.
Moving them. Over the course of 45 minutes, he stripped the entire nest from old storage boxes and garden tools without getting stung even once. Forget your queen bees. This guy is a yellow jacket clearing king. But this wasn't the last time Jude had to tackle a yellow jacket nest. He was called out to a house in Dulac, Louisiana, back in 2021, where he had to do battle with this colossal hive. The yellow jackets had attached their nest to the underside of a house, which was up so high, Jude had no choice but to clear it out with his hands. I'm surprised he was able to reach up that high, considering he was carrying such massive balls of steel. He wasted no time getting right into the heart of the nest, ripping out everything he could get his hands on. And the yellow jackets were not happy. Jude estimated that there were more than 1 million wasps in the colony, which sounds like one heck of an exaggeration. But nests containing millions of yellow jackets have been.
That's one of them things that you don't even care, bro, how much it, like, you care, but you don't care how much it costs, man. You want that problem gone, eradicated, out of the way, moved. Like, you know what I'm saying? What's some stuff y'all had to deal with like this? Because I know like, this is what makes me nervous about us trying to move, because new homes brings new problems that you may or may not be equipped to handle. You know what I'm saying?
Recorded before. And even though he was being pelted by 1 million angry wasps from all sides, he still finished the job. Now that, kids, is what you call a professional.
Facts.
Be brave. Of all the animals you might worry about infesting your home, you wouldn't think bees were one of them, would you? Well, as it turns out, the hollow spaces in walls, floors, and roofs provide the perfect protection for bees to build their hives undisturbed, and to some truly gargantuan proportions. Back in 2019, the bee experts of Queensland, Australia's Brisbane backyard bees were called to clear a hive in a residential ceiling. At first, they assumed it was a small hive containing a few hundred bees at most. But as they removed the paneling, they discovered a humongous 8-foot-long hive which was housing some 60,000 bees.
Beautiful hive here. Lots of honey this morning.
Now, unlike their hornet cousins, bees are less aggressive, so the experts were able to gently remove the hive from the ceiling in sections, honey and all, without agitating them. The bees were so docile, the experts were able to vacuum them up into a container for safe relocation. Talk about...
And he doing that with his bare hands, bro. Give that man his credit.
Being a couple of heroes. Mosquito madness. There are insects I hate. There are insects I despise. And then there are mosquitoes. Just hearing one of those little bloodsuckers buzzing around your room is enough to drive you mad. But what if your house was infested with an entire swarm of them, like this one from 2014?
Look at the mosquitoes. These are mosquitoes by my back door. Look at the door, how infested they are.
Oh, I do not envy this New Yorker. It looks like there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands there. If I were him, I'd have set fire to the entire city.
Look at them all. It's crazy. Has anybody's door ever looked like this? with mosquitoes before.
But what were so many of them doing here?
And you know one of them is carrying some kind of sickness in the blood that they done sucked from somebody else or something. Yeah, that's the scary thing about mosquitoes too, man.
Well, warm and wet weather that evening had provided the perfect breeding conditions for a massive swarm of these particular pests. Female mosquitoes lay their pupa in rafts of up to 300 in stagnant water. The pupa then emerge from the water when it becomes an adult, which, depending on the conditions, can happen all at the same time. So if you live in a warm, wet area next to a source of standing water, be sure to invest in some heavy-duty mosquito nets. You're gonna need them. LOCO locusts. Making her way through St. Clair Shores in Michigan, Katie Williams was gazing out at the routine all-American streets. But all of a sudden, she drove past a house that looked like it had been struck by one of the biblical plagues. She couldn't believe her eyes when she saw this condo was completely covered in locusts. They're on the walls, on the intercom, and you can even hear ones on the road crunching under her tires. Gross. Were the homeowners waiting inside oblivious to this? Or had they concluded the locust pylon was a curse from God and fled the scene? Well, whatever they did, it might have comforted them to know that locusts are just a species of grasshopper. While introverted grasshopper species live solitarily, locusts are forced together at food sources during dry spells, causing them to reproduce at a rapid rate. And even worse, thanks to climate change warming up the world, swarms of locusts will only get more frequent. Prolonged bouts of wet weather will create environments where locusts will start to thrive. And as a final cherry on top, nothing can stop them from swarming. I guess all we can do, ironically, is pray. Flee the fleas. You might think all fleas are those tiny, blood-sucking insects that latch onto your pets and make them itch. But snow fleas, despite the name, are not actually fleas, even though they do jump around like the blood-sucking kind. You might have heard them called springtails, but despite that name, these insects thrive in winter in moist, damp areas. And I mean thrive. Back in 2012, a man in Alabama heard his cat making some strange noises down in the basement. He went to investigate only to be greeted by this freakishly festering pile of snow fleas.
That is a real infestation.
He'd never seen anything like it. By his estimates, there were roughly 50,000 of the insidious critters scattered around his basement. Now, snow fleas usually make their homes outdoors, but on occasion, they'll hop their way into your house. And if they find a perfectly moist patch, they'll start to multiply like crazy. Luckily, unlike the other kind of flea, snow fleas don't bite, so the biggest nuisance they'll cause you is their large numbers, just as our Alabaman friend discovered. But wait, where does the snow and snow fleas come from? Well, maybe this will answer your question.
You just want somebody to come in and just like bomb it, bomb the whole place, fumigate it, get it done. I'll be back in about a week.
Somehow they looked less sinister all piled up. Snowmelt attracts swarms of snow fleas in droves, and because of their dark color, they show up prominently against it. That's enough to put a real blemish on your white Christmas. Which of these bugging...
All right, y'all. It ain't even finna be. I gotta go get a shower, man. This whole video if you ain't, I need a shower. I need a shower, man. Y'all get at me and let me know what you think. Stick around and stay tuned to the next one. I'm gone. Peace.